Welcome to Gregorian Chat.
Welcome to the podcast. Here we are with your hosts, Dom and Dom.
Dom and Dom.
D squared.
That's right.
D to the power of 2.
So, welcome to episode number 18.
18.
That's a 10 with an 8 after it. That's how many we've been doing.
1-8.
That's
1-8 the other.
crazy. So 18 episodes. How are you feeling?
I am feeling like a weight is upon us.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We're getting close to double digits. You know what
Double
that means?
digits. What's that?
I was hoping you would know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we're crossing some kind of
20s?
threshold into professionalism. I highly doubt it, but
Yeah.
it's good to be here on the podcast.
I just want to keep doing this.
I know.
I just want to
Right.
and never stop. I want this to be my full-time job.
Just podcasting to the world.
Yeah.
Now, the other ministry stuff is good too.
Yeah.
Anyway, episode 18. The title of today's episode is Tolkien about climate change.
That's right. A lot's been happening in the news recently with the French Prime Minister.
Talking about engineers,
Is that what he's talking-
entrepreneurs. Yeah. He goes,
Oh, engineers.
I'd like to call upon American researchers, entrepreneurs, engineers,
Oh, yeah.
in more than one interview. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
And so, yeah, he doing this great thing about getting all the scientists and engineers and entrepreneurs and get them all together and just kicking the crap out of climate change. And Trump was like,
On the other hand,
he didn't like the idea.
he was just like, yeah, you
Was a
guys are a
lot of
bunch of airy-fairy
controversy.
things. So anyway, we're going to talk about that, but we're talking specifically what is a recommendable Catholic position to take? How
Yeah.
do we take a position on all of this? You know, there are so many facts that are coming out and certain things about climate change. Dom and I, we're not exactly like scientists or anything anyway. So what we thought, we're not going to tackle like whether or not climate change is a real thing.
Because I don't know.
Right? So we'll get into a bit of that. So not whether it's a real thing, it's more just like, what do we do about it as Catholics? Okay?
Yeah.
What are we drinking today, Dom?
We're drinking some green tea.
Okay.
I can't remember what it's called.
It's called Green Rose.
Green Rose.
And that's because,
It rose out of the ground and it was green.
well, I don't know if he's into rowing or whatever, but it's just, we're talking about environment here. We're talking green. Green seems to be like the buzzword, really, to be green, to be eco-friendly.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Plus, it just smells really nice.
It smells
now,
really good.
Get a look at this video. We went down to T2. We told
Brilliant.
Arun, who's like the master there, that we're going to be doing a podcast on Tolkien, and he was like, "Oh yeah, okay." He's like, "Do you guys know
Yeah.
do you know what's written on the ring?"
Yeah, now there's fans, and then there's fans.
Yeah.
And me and Dom, we enjoyed. I got onto book 3 last night. Started
Yeah.
book 3.
So we're
and
fans, but we're not
we enjoy
fancy.
Yeah, we're not fancy fans. This guy, he said, "Do you know what's on the ring?" And we're like, "Yeah, it's something about binding the ring,
Binding
and
them
together." And
One ring to rule them, and
he was like, "Ha, close." And then he did this.
Ashnaz Tvertuluk Ashnaz Gimbatul Ashnaz Trakatuluk Agbizum Ishi Krimpatul.
You don't know how long it was here.
I don't know.
Hopefully that was long enough for pause.
That's crazy though, right?
Right.
And then, you know what's even crazier is that we then brought this video back and we showed it to Father Chris Denham, who was like, "Oh," and he just like joined in with,
Yeah.
with what Arun was saying.
Yeah.
And it was at that point that I realized, we really don't know much about climate change or Tolkien.
So let's do a podcast on it.
Anyway, we'd like to think that we're passionate about. We like Tolkien for
Yeah.
for what it is, and
And yeah, we like the climate.
we
And it's
like the
changing.
climate.
It's changing, the climate.
You know.
Yeah.
I do miss your Frodo.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll shave that off.
Well,
This is definitely not a sipper.
if somebody was going to fine us for puns, they'd have to bill both of us.
That'd be awkward.
I don't know. They might even take our legs off. We'd be legless.
That'd be grimly.
Are we gonna finish that up with another pun? Or?
Yes.
Anyway, but it's good. Yesterday we did a road trip down to
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
And we got involved with the Catholic Youth Office Yarns. that they have down there.
Hopefully you've already seen that episode come out today at some point.
Bridget and Kiara. I don't know if I said your names wrong, but
Probably.
but that's who they
That's
are.
what we do.
And so they're doing a similar thing to us, but
Girly.
very girly. Awesome though, still definitely.
But anything looks girly in comparison to the manliness that is Gregorian chat.
I mean, just look at these
Look at
beards.
Beards combined.
Ah, that's weird. Anyway, so we should probably get on
Anyway,
to topic,
get
right?
on topic. Okay.
So climate change. What's it all
But
about?
Tolkien about climate change.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, I mean, okay. So why
You're on to book 3.
I'm on to book 3. Why
Yeah.
are we bringing Tolkien into this?
Well, the thing is that we didn't actually bring Tolkien into this. He brought himself into it. And in fact, he brought us all into it. I mean, in summer school I took a paper which is called Tolkien and His Worlds. And it's a good paper, especially if you just need a filler. But basically, it looks kind of in depth at some of Tolkien's writings, and it says, okay, well, what's he trying to say here? What's he saying here? If you read Lord of the Rings,
And you should
and you should have already
read The
done it.
Hobbit first, though.
Yeah, but
Right.
when you read Lord of the Rings, I should say, you'll notice that there's a lot about like the environment, and it's not in the language that we have today. It's not in that
Definitely.
like recycled eco-hippie jargon of
No.
like, you know, sacred spaces and clean green, but it does come through, but in a very different light. So basically what happens is, you got Saruman,
Yeah.
and a lot of the beef that the Ents have with Saruman is that he's destroying the environment,
Yes.
and Ents are part of the environment.
And the Entwives.
And the Entwives are gone. I mean, it's basically Saruman builds a whole bunch of machines. So, kind of hearkening to the Industrial Revolution and World War One with mechanic warfare and things like that. So all those issues are raised. And you can see once they finally get into Mordor, which is where you're just arriving now, they always talk about the stench.
Yes, they do.
How the land is like uninhabitable. And basically, the images that come to mind are of like a World War One, World War Two battleground, post-war kind of thing.
And also like it's also the way that the so I don't know it from such an in-depth way, but like reading it, there is a real respect for the nature and the way that nature is used. It's like the hobbits have an in-depth knowledge of like how things grow and where to get things and how to use them to make great things like beer and pipeweed and all that sort of
Pipeweed, cheese, and the elves as well are very connected with nature.
Especially the elves. But there's an interesting thing is like we have this things like with the elves and even with like the trolls. Are the trolls?
Trolls.
Yeah, and even with the trolls, it's like they're actually from nature.
Yeah.
And so there's this cool thing. Is like they exist for hundreds and thousands of years, and it's just in the same way that you can get a tree. There's a tree in New Zealand that is 2,000 years old. So that tree was like planted in Jesus' time, you know, and it's like it's so cool. But like when that tree dies, we don't hold a funeral. It just goes back into the earth and. In a similar way, like with the elves and the trolls and things like that, they don't go beyond the earth. Yeah. However, mankind does. We have a life beyond Earth, and that's an interesting point. I just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, no, it's you're absolutely right. I think, and so Tolkien brings it up. He doesn't. I wouldn't say he doesn't dwell on it, but he doesn't like go crazy, and it doesn't get to the point where it's annoying to hear Tolkien talk about nature, because like you said, he doesn't just do it as like don't hurt nature. He goes, nature is beautiful. Nature is this wonderful basically incubator for humanity.
And it's not like they don't like go like you hear in some Eastern religions like don't kill any flies because that's a life. It's not in a fantastical realm. It's a very normal realm. It's like they still go and catch rabbits to eat and they fish and they are very much stewards of the earth as we're called to be from Genesis.
So if you and one thing that they were telling us in this when we were looking at the kind of the personal letters of Tolkien and stuff, his work was published kind of middle of the 20th century, and then in the 70s a whole bunch of hippies got hold of it, and Led Zeppelin and a whole bunch of people, and they were like,
Freaking
oh my
hippies.
gosh, this stuff makes so much sense when we're on acid. But just like they talk about the Lady of
This makes a lot of
Light and
sense.
a whole bunch of this imagery, and they're like, this is amazing, as if it was like, you know, the first of its kind kind of thing, and there was no archetype or you know,
Genesis
symbolism back
story.
to Genesis or the Bible or anything. And Tolkien got really annoyed because basically he didn't want his works to be used as part of a cultural revolution. He didn't really want his works to be like this big uprooting, you know, kind of like, come on, let's like turn over the society we're in and get back to a clean green thing. Because I mean, that's exactly what the orcs are doing. They're all about uprooting.
Yes.
And the whole thing about like the 70s sexual revolution, you know, when drugs were really prolific.
Yep.
Everyone's looking for these outer world experiences.
Yes.
Everyone's trying to get high so that they can experience, you know, the fantastical, the mystical, and taking them away from the reality of Earth.
Yes.
Tolkien, if you read, he's not about that. He's about coming down to Earth. He's about being like, you know, things that are planted, things that come from the Earth and are made from the Earth.
Yep.
And so, anyway, just a point, like, he cared about the environment, but it wasn't about, you know, taking it away from Earth.
No.
It's about bringing it back down. And this is leading on to a big point that you raised before about, you know, where does humanity fit into this?
Yeah, so that's the question. It's like, okay, so what can we learn from this and apply it to what we know about climate change today? And I think, you know, often as humans, we'll get an ideology or a concept. It's very good, isn't it?
Very good, yeah. We get an ideology.
We get an ideology or a concept or a political, you know, agenda, and we're like, okay, this is good, so we're gonna do it to death. It's like when you hear a song that you love, you listen to it every day until you hate the song. And I feel like sometimes, like, you know, with climate change, like, this is a good thing, and therefore we need to do this. And what's happened is it's morphed into something else. It is about, you know, and there is a good in it. And, you know, I encourage everyone to always seek truth where there is truth, and there is truth here. However, it sometimes leads towards this more fantastical model. And we over-romanticize nature. And the result of that is that we de-romanticize or neglect other things. And so, you know, we need to look after our environment, and, you know, we can look to, you know, Tolkien, and we see the dwarves of the mountain, and they have a real appreciation for how they can use the stone and carve it and create this beauty, and the elves of the forest, and how they do, and like the hobbits and how they live, and there's a real beauty in that. But it's not a kind of let's not touch anything and let it grow.
No.
It's a kind of let's get involved in it and allow it to grow better.
That's right.
However, what we do, you know, as humans, is sort of like, you know, climate change is killing the world. What's the problem? Well, we're part of the problem. Well, if we got rid of us, then we wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah.
And then nature would survive. So we just need to destroy humanity.
Yeah.
Sorted.
And you see people posting stuff like that on Facebook. You know, I saw friends of mine post that stuff 3 years ago. The problem with climate change is humans. Let's kill all the humans. I'm like, well, 3 years later, guess what? You're still alive.
Yeah.
So it's
live the examples.
Basically,
no.
yeah.
No,
but
don't do that.
I know we were discussing this before the podcast, and kind of seeing some of the stuff that's going on in the world, and you've got, I mean, Brendan Malone posted about Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was like, Donald Trump is such an idiot. It sounds more like a French guy, but
yeah, it does.
You know, he doesn't care about climate change.
Down.
I do. Get to the chopper. But he doesn't realize that the chopper is burning fuel, man. Okay, and Terminators. I mean, but like, you know, Brendan was saying, you know, he still drives tanks around. He drives these big Humvees, all this kind of stuff. It's like, if you're gonna do it, walk the talk. But more importantly, as Catholics, we've talked about this in other podcasts. There are so many things that you could care about. Yeah. And there are so many things that you should care about. But we should never care about something to the point that we neglect other things that should be cared about.
And so, care about it in the right way. So if you care about the climate and you care about nature, do not forget that we are nature as well. So if you're going to look after, you know, nature and natural things, it's like we're not robots. We weren't built and constructed and then started, you know, destroying the environment. We are from nature. Like in Genesis, it shows that Adam and Eve were made from the clay of the earth. So we're part of the earth, and then He breathed life. God breathed the soul into us. So in looking after the climate, you know, and I think Pope Francis brings this up in Laudato Si as well. It's like your environment isn't just the blue skies and the green trees. It's your home environment, your work environment, and it's the thing with like Catholicism is it's rarely either or. It's sometimes it's both and. So you can't say I'm looking after the environment, but I'm pro-abortion, but I'm pro-euthanasia.
Exactly.
And the reason is because I can't bring another people are having too many kids.
Yeah.
And therefore more people are coming out and people are bad. It's like
And to say, that human beings are the disease is really at the heart of it is to neglect and to ignore Jesus' incarnation, And it's like a slap in the face to God to be like, it's not only to say it's like you created us wrong, or you created us right and somehow we managed to go faulty along the way. It's like also Jesus became a man, so that he could redeem nature, and he led the example, and so it's our job to join with him in that mission, and caring for nature as his stewards. And so much of the theology that I learnt at the University of Auckland, unfortunately, when we talked a lot about ecology, looking after the environment and whatever, but so much of it was like, no, human beings aren't stewards. We've set ourselves up as kings. We're equal with nature, and it's like, well, that's I think is a misunderstanding or a misinterpretation of what the scripture says.
Yeah, misunderstanding what steward is. It's like, as a parent, you're not the king of your child. You are the guardian. So you protect that child and allow it to grow until one day it becomes a parent.
And it would be irresponsible for you to take your life as a parent, because then your child grows up with no, it's your job, with no parent. It's your job to look after your child, just as it's our job to look after the environment.
Yes.
But then, and this is a good segue as well, because it's like, well, then how do you have an issue like abortion, and how do you have an issue like, climate change or looking after the environment? How do you take both of those things and be equally passionate about it? Well, and I think this is what the popes have really been trying to do. You've got like theology of the body and understanding, all that kind of stuff as well, but then understanding, okay, how do we be passionate as Catholics about the environment, but not get to the point of like save the whales, but we could probably afford to lose a couple of humans. And this is, what we were saying before, having this kind of diehard ecological mindset can be detrimental to like the future of moral thought and discussion, because it's like, okay, well, the euthanasia debate has just been drawn out of the ballot from David Seymour, right?
Right, okay.
It's going to go up for discussion now.
Oh, it is.
What we're going to see is a whole bunch of arguments, I'm sure, that are like, well, there are more and more people who want to be able to take their life. Plus, look at this evidence. Plus, look at this evidence. Now, if we add more evidence to that, like humanity is actually a disease on the earth, then like it's an easy step to go from this person wants to end their life. Like the world is actually overpopulated anyway. They have a choice to do what they want. Like
therefore they should.
It can be like a buffer really to an argument. And so I think I'm not saying don't engage or don't promote like looking after the environment, but I'm just saying we really have to be thoughtful about how much it takes over our day-to-day social justice.
Yes,
I think.
And I think the one thing to take away from this is the yes, be ecologically friendly, but don't be just ecologically friendly. We're all encompassing. The Catholic Church means universal, which means everything. So we need to Jesus said, they will know you are my disciples by the way you love one another. And that's loving God, and therefore loving creation. And creation is human. Creation is, trees, animals. And so, love one another as you would, you would want to be loved.
Yeah.
That applies to your pets, to nature as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's an all-encompassing love. We have to love with a love that God loves, and He loved it so much that He thought, I'm going to create it.
And be like Tolkien and come back down to earth. Don't go looking for moral arguments way up in the blah blah blah. Like, we're called to be here and to fight for what's here, and this tea is really good, and I would get it again.
Definitely.
Green Rose from T2.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. I mean, I just did that again. It's just refreshing,
And I don't even like green tea that much.
No. But thanks for listening to the podcast. Make sure that you share and you like it.
And live the example.
Live the example.
Of being green and loving one another.
Keep it
bless.
Catholic.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. We hope you're enjoying it. We're certainly enjoying making it. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Auckland Catholic Tertiary Chaplaincy.
Also, follow us on Facebook at Facebook.com/The Chaplains.
Or you can find us on Instagram at Auckland Catholic Chaplaincy.
We also have a webpage, www.newmanhall.org.nz.
If you're going to be online, make sure that you like, you share, and comment in the box, maybe if you have some extra stuff to add to the conversation. Thanks.
God bless.